Welcome to China Gateway 360, connecting global businesses with China through insights, opportunities, and trends. Today, we're cutting straight to a make or break operational decision for your market entry, your office setup strategy. We're going to figure out exactly how to perfectly balance short-term agility with long-term commitment. We've got a lot of ground to cover, so we're going to move fast. We'll start with the biggest day one misstep, break down the core setup archetypes, introduce a hybrid solution, flag some critical compliance pitfalls, and then lay out your immediate next steps.
Let's get right into section 1, the day one misstep. Market entry success in China usually hinges on the calls you make before your operations even officially launch.
And the urgency here is absolutely real. Check this out. A whopping 73% of foreign companies totally underestimate the upfront impact of their office commitment within that crucial first year. Picking the wrong setup right out of the gate, it immediately jeopardizes your cash flow, your compliance timelines, and your overall flexibility during the single most vulnerable phase of your market entry.
Moving on to section 2, two primary archetypes. To avoid that day one misstep, we first need to look at the binary choice most companies mistakenly believe they're forced into.
On one side of the ring, you've got the agile setup. Think serviced offices or co-working spaces. It's a fast, 1 to 6 month bridging solution focused purely on speed. On the other side is the committed setup. These are your direct leases, usually 2 to 5 years. They give you full control, strong brand presence, and that long-term stability we all want. But the economic trade-off between the two is pretty stark. An agile setup can get you fully operational in literally 48 hours, but it carries a 40 to 60% operational cost premium over a year. A direct lease, on the other hand, offers lower monthly costs down the road, but demands a massive initial capital lockup. When you factor in base rent, deposits, and fit-outs, a standard 200 square meter office is going to demand an upfront investment anywhere from 600,000 to 1.6 million RMB. That is a lot of cash tied up early on.
China Gateway. Gateway.
Your gateway to business in China.
Section 3, the hybrid approach synthesis. So how exactly do we balance that speed with cost efficiency? Well, the real secret isn't choosing between these two archetypes. It's about synthesizing them.
And it all comes down to this ultimate decision-making threshold. Do you have a confirmed, registered Chinese company today? If your answer is no, committing to a long-term lease right now is a highly dangerous financial liability. You seriously risk paying rent on a completely empty space while your corporate registration is stuck in delays.
Which brings us right to the hybrid approach. Here's how it plays out. For the first 6 months, you secure a short-term serviced office. This guarantees a compliant registration address and lets you start operating immediately. Then, once your headcount is predictable and your license is fully active, you enter a dual-track transition. Basically, you fit out your permanent space while still operating out of the temporary one. Zero downtime. By month 6, you seamlessly transition your whole team into that direct, long-term lease.
Section 4, navigating critical pitfalls. Now, executing this hybrid approach is highly effective, but you have to stay incredibly vigilant against localized compliance traps.
The first big risk to watch out for is the WFOE address trap. Please don't assume just any serviced office can serve as your permanent registered address. If local authorities reject it, you could be on the hook for up to 50,000 RMB in re-registration fees alone. Second, signing a long-term lease before your business is fully approved is just a massive gamble. If that registration fails, you're looking at up to 120,000 RMB in liability for avoided contract. Always include a registration contingency clause.
Let's ground this in reality for a second. Take this European robotics firm that entered Shenzhen using this exact hybrid strategy. They spent their first 6 months in a serviced office and then pivoted to a 3-year direct lease only once they had actual clients and a growing team. By doing it this way, they strictly capped their year 1 costs and saved 250,000 RMB in potential exposure that would have otherwise been tied up in a totally unproven market.
Finally, Section 5, strategic next steps. We've mapped out the strategy and the risks, so let's get into the execution phase for you.
Here are your immediate next steps. First, evaluate your registration status to lock down a valid address. Second, accurately model your OPEX and CAPEX based on your specific city. And third, verify all local compliance rules for your particular industry. Before you sign any contract, ask yourself, are you building a foundation for scalable growth, or are you locking yourself into an expensive, inflexible trap? That's all for this China Gateway 360. Like and comment to receive materials from us. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.